Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Triforce podcast.
Sorry, I am. Eating a peanut bar.
The sensual sounds of the rain falling above me in Bristol, and Sips nomming away at a fruit and nut bar, probably, or Nutri-Grain, some breakfast bar.
It's a peanut bar. Just peanuts.
Wonderful stuff. Last night I went to the pub and the heavens opened and we all got absolutely soaked. We were all sat outside and I looked up down at the table and it was like me, Lydia, Ravs, like a bunch of others, and I was like, none of us smoke. Why are we outside? Because of course we follow the lead of Harry and Tom, you know, the trendsetters in the Yogs.
They
always, they're the cool guys. So we all sit outside, and of course they were not there. We had one umbrella that barely covered like the table, sort of six of us huddling under it. And I said to Ravs, it'll stop in a minute, in that British way.
Did it?
And then it didn't. No, it got worse and it got harder.
Yeah.
And it poured with rain, and I staggered home drenched at about 10:30. But but it was nice. It wasn't cold rain. It was kind of just warm
like a
rain.
soaking, a fine soaking mist. You know those, you know, like those light rains where you're like, it's not raining that bad, but you get absolutely fucking drenched.
Yeah, it was that.
It's like a misty rain almost. Like I don't know.
It wasn't heavy enough to refill our pints with, you know. It was or cause them that much distress either. They weren't splashing everywhere, you know, but it was heavy enough that we were the only people out there, and I just felt like this was the most British thing I'd done in a while. Because we spent the time watching the evening. We did like a premiere of the new Master Tasker, which is the main channel Taskmaster ripoff.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen it, P-Flex and Sips.
Watched it, loved it, thought it was great. I would love to be on it one day. It's just such a funny show. So
did not watch it, not in it, don't care.
So rude.
Wow, just being honest.
Just a rude dude.
This is the place for Sips to be open and honest.
Friends of his are in this show and made the show. He's like, I don't fucking care, I'm not in it.
If I don't, though, I mean, I can't help it, sorry.
It's good. It's got Lydia Ravs in it, and
nice.
and the Tommy B and Tommy C doing
Tommy C and Tommy
You're
B.
the original bubble boy, Sips. You are just the bubble boy.
I am.
Lives in a bubble.
I know.
But unlike the bubble boy,
unashamedly so.
But you don't want to be outside the bubble. Get me
I
in
do
the bubble.
not.
Well,
I do not.
You don't want to get in that fucking bubble. It's full of baby sick and fucking crying.
That's
and
it,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah,
It's
stay away from my bubble.
I don't want to be in
full
the
of
bubble.
dirty nappies and like,
Yeah,
me
it's
away.
gross in here.
I did
It's
that.
disgusting.
It
is gross
never
in
going
here.
back to the bubble life. I tell
Thank
you that.
God it's
man.
kept in the bubble.
I gotta keep it all in the bubble until when the baby's bigger, I can finally venture out of the bubble, and then I might care about Taskmasters.
Nah,
and stuff
you ain't
like
gonna
that,
do shit. You're gonna live in that bubble forever.
I jest though. That sounds pretty cool.
No,
I should watch
It's
it.
a fun time, and then we
You still ain't gonna fucking watch it, dude.
I've started. Shut up. He'll watch it. Don't worry. It'll pop up on his recommended. He can't.
I'm sure it will. Yeah.
Do not recommend channel is what he's gonna fucking do.
You just click that immediately. Well, Sips is like this though. He's a contrarian. Like he won't. Anything that's hyped or anyone's talked about, he will put off it. He'll be like, I can't be all that.
I've been burned many times. I'm not even doing it just to be cool or anything. I just don't believe the hype.
Anything that's hyped at all, Sips is like, I'm not into it. No, he likes the underground good stuff. I know.
Oh yeah. No,
you like discovering your own things.
Well, I like to wait. I like to wait to see what the sort of. Like it's weird because I don't generally believe the hype, but then I'm fine to sort of believe a consensus, you know, like after the fact. Like with Cyberpunk, everybody was super excited, losing their minds for Cyberpunk coming out, and I was like, okay, you know, I'll see how it goes. And then when it came out, and everybody was upset that it didn't live up to their expectations or whatever, and I still haven't played it because I haven't heard great things about it, right? But then other things have come out that were hyped or not hyped or whatever, and people rave on about it. And then you know, if there's enough interest or you know people mention something to me that sounds interesting, I'll definitely check it out. And then
sometimes
likely binge on it for months at a time.
The hype is the reason for its downfall, right? In many ways, like a lot of times people are like, oh, this didn't live up to the hype, and therefore I'm going to give it a negative review.
Cyberpunk,
right?
How the hell could it ever live up to the hype? Like the hype around Cyberpunk was just insane.
Yeah,
and
I feel like it could have lived up to 1/10 of the hype. That would have been.
It could have, yeah, it could have
been something.
Sure, but it was never going to be what people expected, because I think people's expectations were just
true, but they also didn't help. Like if you pitch it as being this grand thing and you show off all this stuff and say it's going to have this, it's going to have that, and then it doesn't, that's kind of on you.
Yeah, exactly, people. I think that was what people were upset about. They were sold this idea that it was something greater than what it was, or some kind of revolution in gaming, when really it was, I
remember Spore being like that too. When Spore was in development, and then when it was released, the hype around that game was insane.
Don't remind me.
Possibly ever remotely live up to any
I was
of
so
the hype.
excited for that. I got the game, rushed home.
Was.
I couldn't wait to play it, and I was like, what the fuck is this piece of shit?
It was just a stripped down version of what they promised, because they just couldn't do all the stuff that they wanted to do. And was it Will Wright actually left off the back of it too, didn't he? Or midway through, like he was trying to do stuff, and the publisher, the studio were just like, no, we can't do it, we've got deadlines or whatever, and he's like, fine, I'm out.
You know what I think that would actually work nowadays as an early access title that they built stuff on. Because a game like that's because if I remember rightly, you could literally, the whole point was you could go from like a single-celled little creature and evolve all the way up to like space battles. Like that is incredibly grand plan shit. And like, holy God, like as a pitch, that sounds great. But it's kind of those kind of games where they pitch it like that is like, I remember a guy I knew told me about the game he was making, and he said to me, it's going to be amazing. I was like, all right, describe it to me then. And he said, all right, but don't tell anyone because this is a great idea. I was like, okay. And his idea was this game. He's like, right, so it's sort of like Elite, but then it also has ground battles like Planetfall, but it also has trading, like a sort of trading game, but it's also like an empire builder, and there's like city building within that empire, and there's also politics, and party management and recruitment.
And that game he was talking about was Star Citizen.
No.
And it was, what's the guy's name? Is it Chris Roberts? Or was
that
it the Wing Commander
No Man's
guy?
Sky.
Chris Robber, I call him. Because he's a thief.
Good one.
But no, it's
That's
literally, good. I was like, mate, you know how many people it's going to take to even begin to make this game? He goes, oh no, I've got these two coders, they're top guys. I was like, all right, good luck, buddy.
It's like Alan Sugar Productions, so I got these two coders.
I've laid on a couple of coders this week.
Oh, man. I was reading something about Alan Sugar recently, because I don't know much about him other than, he's on The Apprentice, which I watch, and I never really had any opinions on Alan Sugar until he tweeted calling people who work from home scumbags who watch TV all day.
Yeah, he's a
cunt. my perception of that man has just completely and utterly changed. I think home working is the best. And I think if you're against it, you're dead to me.
He and his colleagues and everyone has suddenly did a big turnaround on the old energy crisis, right? Because it costs a lot more for them to pay for everything at the office. Like one of the main, I read this article on the Money Supermarket, and it was like, do you want to save money on your heating and electricity? Just go into the office more. Do your washing in the office. Cook your lunch in the office. Cook your dinner in the office.
Use all their energy.
And so now what's happening is all these people are like, oh, actually, well, do you know what? Maybe if you stay at home, you wouldn't cost us so much. It would cheaper, right? And so everyone is suddenly doing a 180 on this idea that we have to fucking...
You know what? You know what he also said? In response to people saying that they would rather work from home and it's silly, he goes, well, then you should be paid less because it doesn't cost you as much to get into work. As if the only reason they pay us is so that we have enough money to have clothes and travel to get to our fucking jobs. He is an absolute
I don't know how you
piece
can
of
be
shit.
that stupid and have made that much money.
Here is the thing. Alan Sugar, I read his fucking autobiography. All right, I do not like the man. I do not like the man. I do not respect him.
He's a cunt in all caps,
right?
100%.
So I wanted to read the book to find out what he thought of himself and his own personal story. This is a guy who basically got into electronics at the right time, opened a store selling electronics, and Amstrad was always shit. Always shit. Nobody that bought an Amstrad product would be like, it was top of the line. No, it was Amstrad, it was budget. That was the whole angle that they were going for. And he then got into business-to-business stuff with like set-top boxes and all this kind of stuff with his business deals, which is basically
he was like
doing it for
fucking Del
pennies.
Boy, IRL Del Boy, with just somehow managed to integrate himself in because he offered it the cheapest. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
He just
Do you think at the time he was laying on big dues for his staff and stuff as well? Like, do you think he laid on a nice spread of like buffet
he might lay on one for all of his
anything?
fucking mistresses, but
he's an incredibly stingy businessman, and everything is on a shoestring. The Amstrad made set-top boxes. Anybody who's ever had a shit set-top box, you can thank Alan Sugar, because they were literally, if you open them up, it's like the shittest build, and all the quality of the circuitry and everything like that is dog. They break all the time. They're slow. They are garbage. And it's all because he'll do it for tuppence halfpenny. That's it. He hasn't changed from being the guy that ran a market stall selling stuff cheap and trying to get it cheap and just selling tat. He has not changed. And he's managed to build this empire. But if you look at all these business ventures that he gets involved in on fucking Dragon's
a lot of them fail.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible ideas. And the kind of people that want to work for him, I don't understand it. I do not understand.
Well, that's partly how he's got to where he is, though, by treating people like shit. You know, I think that is his whole thing. These people have no qualms to produce shitty products and treat people shittily and make money doing it. You know? I think if you are an absolute
how come
fucking
I'm not
scumbag,
like filthy, stinking rich? I treat people like shit all the time. What am I doing wrong?
Apparently you don't.
I'm looking up at the sky right now. What am I doing wrong? Oh god,
Twitch chat don't count. You know, torturing Twitch chat with hours of fence building in Planet Zoo doesn't count.
Oh, I treat him mean and I keep him keen, baby. Whoa, but yeah, no, I'm not as rich as Alan Sugar, that's for sure.
No,
I could learn a thing or two from that guy. But no, I really did not like the insinuation that people who work from home are lazy and all they do is sit around and watch TV. The fact of the matter is that most of these jobs, there's not even enough work to do to fill a day. So if somebody's sitting around watching TV, that's your fault, right? Like you probably just have too many people or whatever. And if they're in an office, that makes sense, right? Because you can look out over your little silo and be proud of yourself that you manage 5 or 6 people or whatever, and that's cool. But when they're all at home and you can't see them, it doesn't feel as tangible, right?
I also think the idea that people aren't working. I mean, I'm kind of personally offended by this. Mrs. F works from home quite often. Obviously worked from home all over lockdown and everything, like a lot of people out there did. And if you want to tell me that she didn't work very hard and work long hours and do her job, you can get fucked. I'm actually seriously pissed off when Alan Sugar and people like that joke around about people just sitting around watching TV in their pajamas. First of all, who fucking gives a shit that you're wearing your fucking pajamas? Genuinely, what fucking difference does it make to you, Lord Sugar, you cunt?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, having worked in an office, some people turned up to the office in worse than pajamas, in my opinion. Sometimes they look like fucking shit, and then they sit around all day and do fuck all. They just talk, or they're browsing the internet or whatever. Yeah. So what's the fucking difference?
It's ludicrous.
It's like he's never worked from home before, and also like he's never worked in an office before either. Like, maybe he should just spend a day working in one of his fucking offices and he could realize that most people are useless assholes, whether they work in an office or at home. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he just seems to have no fucking concept at all about how working life is, which is odd.
As someone who has employees,
oh yeah, of course you do.
I don't really know whether we do a good job with this at all. Like, I don't know. My opinion is always the same as yours. It's like, if you're working for someone, you should get away with doing the absolute bare minimum you can. If otherwise, you know, unless there's any kind of incentives, right? Like, we obviously have people with fairly like simple tasks, I guess, mostly. Like, you know, they feel like they know what their goals are quite clearly. I think it's very hard when you're in a job and like someone tells you, oh, just do something, you know, and you're like, well, what? Like, oh, just file those pieces of paper. It's like, okay, I've done that. Now what? And they're like, oh, I'm going for lunch. See ya. It's like, when you don't have proper like goals or proper management. Yeah. Then
that's the thing.
You get very disillusioned very quick because a lot of
that's
people...
why the managers are pushing for people to work in the office, because they can't do their fucking stupid shitty job any other way. They don't know how to do it. They do not know how to decide.
Most of it is just stupid make work, right? Yeah. Like, and which is not necessary. Like I've worked in teams before, like on projects, like coding, like big projects, whatever. And there's deliverables, and there's times where things need to be delivered, right? And so the time where you're working on stuff, you just need to be left alone to get on with it, so that you can actually deliver it on time, right?
But I mean, that's true of any office job.
Whether I'm sitting around in a thong, watching Maury Povich on the side, and like I'll do it. I'll deliver it on time. I'll probably deliver it early.
The father.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though.
Maury, baby.
It shouldn't fucking matter. What's the difference if I'm doing that at home or if somebody is just bugging me all the time in the office? Like, like, hey, want to go for coffee? Hey, want to go for coffee? Hey, have you sat in the bathroom for an hour today looking at your phone? It's all the same shit, right? Like, I know when I have to deliver the work and I'm going to do it. Like,
and if you don't,
some jobs just aren't like that. There's just not enough work to do.
There are some like call center jobs and stuff like that. I presume that they found a way to set all those up from home. But they monitor what calls you get. They record calls, all that kind of shit. You could do that from home.
But that's a volume job, though, right? Like it's like being it's like working at a till, or like serving people at, like, say, McDonald's or whatever. There's going to be customers. It's going to be busy almost all day, right? Like you're not going to really have time to do anything but your job.
Especially because, dude, remember, I've worked in one of these places. I did a call center for Exchange and Mart magazine. Rest in peace, Exchange and Mart magazine. And the calls just come through. Yeah. Like, it just goes, oh, you're not on the phone right now? Don't worry about that. And it goes, and just puts the call through to you. So it's not, you don't have time to do
this
shit.
Is pillar one. Okay, pillar one is clearly defined things to do. Because I fucking hate fucking hated having a job where I went there and I didn't have anything to do. I didn't feel like I could contribute, and I felt like my ideas were ignored.
You turn up and there's nothing to do, and somebody's like, "Oh, can you file this?" Or "Oh, can you do this?" And it's like, just send me home. Yeah. You don't need me here.
But also,
it's a waste of time.
I think within that, like, space to grow and change and put your own oar in and make a difference, right? And then that's why that leads on to part two, feeling like I think you are part of a group or a team, and are rewarded for doing so. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but obviously we do like a profit share with Yogs. So like 10% of our yearly profits, or if in last year it was about 20%, goes to staff, right? Straight
Whoa,
up.
Do I count as staff?
No, you're
what the fuck? I quit.
But
I'm going to start.
You're not on the payroll.
I'm going to start a strike. I'm going to start a strike next time I'm there.
You've got your own benefits.
I'm going to picket the fucking offices.
Oh my god! But
no one will join me.
I feel like that, and then there obviously also has to be, to some extent, like an independence factor where people know what they're doing without a manager. I don't like the idea of managers. I think managers should be assistants to people who are doing the job to help them get their job done, rather than some cunts over the top of them telling them to get their job done, right? I don't think that's the role of a manager. A proper manager should be helping everyone else to do what they need to do, and saying, like, how do we make you this better? Not, do work harder, idiot. I think a lot of people, like, and also I think you're completely right about people wanting to work differently and needing to. Some people have never wanted to come back in. I saw Tom Hazel yesterday for the first time in months, because he much enjoys working at home in his pants, I assume. And
sure.
And we've had no problems with anyone working where they want at Yogs, and it's been really great. I think, like, for example, one of my friends, Dan, he works for the government, defense. He works for the government in some sort of defense role, and he has to sit through these long meetings. And he's a really, really smart guy, and he's been doing it from home, and he's been doing great lately, but he has to sit through these incredibly long meetings.
Has he done a lot of good defense?
Well, I don't really know what he does, because he's very vague about it.
He's got to be
either
secretive.
A spy, or he's...
well, I mean, nothing's happened,
or he's
so
just in a really boring office job. One of the two. Anyway, he's a super smart guy, but... he finds it so hard to pay attention in these long meetings, right? But what he's been doing lately is, for the last sort of couple of years, actually, since lockdown, is he's been painting Warhammer models in the meetings, but I often find that when I do that, like it shuts off. So I'm always like listening to a podcast or something when I'm painting models. He finds that it actually really helps him concentrate in meetings when he's painting models in the background, so he wouldn't be able to do that in an office atmosphere. It obviously works for his personality, which is a very detail oriented, very kind of smart guy who also could get incredibly bored if you're just sat there fucking staring at a screen. Because I think other people would get distracted, like it's probably happening in this podcast right now, where you guys are both like browsing something else, paying attention, just thinking about something else. And people listen to this podcast right now are probably
I'm just
doing
imagining your
else.
friend Dan furiously playing Space Invaders, like defending the country while he's in this meeting, like something like that. That's what I'm doing right now. Well, he's in some bunker somewhere, just like shooting down all the ICBMs,
listening to the codes. I think like Warhammer, though, painting Warhammer is an example of something which I've talked about it before, but it's like this thing where you can. I used to do it in front of the telly, and then I'd look up on like season 3 or whatever, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, that's what that guy looks like." And I obviously had never actually looked at him for 3 seasons or something. And so, but I'd followed the story like perfectly without being able to see it, like a blind person watching the telly or something. I don't know. It was very. I guess because a lot of TV is so basic, right? And so formulaic. And so,
speaking of basic TV, I started watching Married at First Sight UK season 7.
Well, again, that is very basic.
Oh boy! Why am I doing this?
Well, I was thinking of talking about Lord of the Rings, the new show.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Wait, can I say something just first of all? I've got a question. I don't know if you guys can answer it, or if someone can answer it. No.
Is it like a technical question to do with your computer?
No. If I ask the question, it'll clear everything up.
Okay.
Because you guys might.
I want to guess the question first, though.
Go ahead.
Okay, is the question related to some sort of ailment upon your physical being?
No.
Is the question related? Is it a diet question?
No.
A diet-related question?
No.
Is it to do with? Are you looking to acquire a piece of technology?
No. Would you like a clue?
Is it?
Yes, please.
Is it spiritual in nature?
No, it's not about me. Or something that I experienced. Okay. It's something that Mrs. F experienced.
Is this a society sort of question? Is
not
it
a
okay
society
to
question, but
fart loudly on a bus or like that kind of thing?
Is it politics?
No.
Is it about Liz Truss?
No. It's in the fields of the arts. The arts.
Right, okay.
So we don't know anything about
a music question?
We don't know anything about
It's not a music question.
Is it any way related to Adele?
No.
Okay.
How about is it about actual art, i.e., art galleries and
it's about
Leonardo?
No, I said the arts. So you guys have gone straight to paintings.
The arts.
The arts. So think of the things that would
creative things.
Yeah. So think of something that
woodworking.
Is it graphic design related?
No.
Is it website
musical?
No.
Musical.
No, but you're getting closer.
Painting.
No. How is that closer?
Go back.
Photography.
No. I said music. Lewis said, "Is it a musical?" And I said, "You're getting closer. It's to do with the theater."
Right. The theater.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay. Ask the question. I don't know fuck all about the theater.
Me neither.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you here, so that we gave a chance to the viewers to answer.
Oh, right. Okay, I see.
This question has now taken 5 minutes to ask, but I'm
it's fun guessing.
That's the best part of this podcast so far.
A few seconds to answer. She was at a play last night. It was Much Ado About Nothing. It's a Shakespeare's play.
Yeah.
And there's a line in it where one of the characters, I think it's Leonata, says, I will be heard, I must be heard, or I shall be heard. And when she said it, several people in the audience said it at the same time, and then the audience started clicking their fingers like.
Maybe that's just a really good poetry jam.
Right, but
like,
why
it's known
that
in
line?
circles.
It was the only point in the play where they did it. Almost like
it's a good line.
Right, it is. It is a great line. I'm not saying it's not. But what has it been co-opted by? What movement? What group? Why are people saying that line aloud in the play? Why the finger clicking? Not applauding, but finger clicking. Where did that come from? Because I've been to see Shakespeare a decent amount of time, and I've never seen anything like that. And I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it almost seems like maybe like a protest thing or like a counterculture sort of thing.
Well,
like,
I googled it too. I must be heard or whatever the line is, and couldn't find anything about it. Couldn't find any references, articles, posts anywhere. So if you know why they do it, get in touch because I would really love to know.
That's a good question. I wish that I was more cultured to be able to help out, but I'm not. I'm really, really fucking dumb and basic.
That's all right.
I'm a simpleton. Sorry.
Well, do you have any questions that you want to throw out there, Sips, to the mailbag listeners? Like, the mailbaggers?
Do you? I don't know. I don't think I really have like any deep burning questions. I mean, I was on vacation recently, and I should have come back with like, a lot of deep thoughts and questions and stuff, but man, I was so tired. When I got back, I was like, man, I need an actual vacation now to recover. I need a vacation
from the vacation. Oh,
yeah. I can't remember the stand-up who said it, but there was a bit where he said that he was trying to describe a family road trip.
I think it was Jerry Seinfeld
as a vacation, and he said, once you strapped your kids into the back of the car and you close their door, and then you take the long way around the car to get to the driver's side. That's your vacation.
Yeah.
It's that 5 seconds where nobody asks you a question or interacts with you whatsoever after you've closed the door, walked around the car, and then gotten into the
I saw
seat.
Jerry Seinfeld say that on an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and he might have been referencing another comedian.
Right, okay.
Like, is it Jim Gaffigan maybe that might have said that? But either way, he was referencing it because he often says, my favorite joke of yours is X.
Oh yeah, I just think that's such a.
It's so good.
It's good because it's so true as well, right? And like oftentimes those jokes are the best ones. But yeah, I thought that was great.
I love that kind of not observational comedy, but almost it's like relatable.
Yes,
but it's such I think that the genius of some really good comedians is that it's something that we've all thought, but they're the ones who put it in a funny way and said it. I mean, it's like
I don't even think you need to have had kids to
you can understand
to relate to that joke. It's that I think that's part of what makes it so good too.
Yeah, I think in that case, like that's two things you just suggested, Sips. There, one is favorite like bit. Let us know your favorite stand-up bit.
Yes,
because that way we can leech off their humor and enjoy it. And also, because Jerry Seinfeld's doing that, and no one calls him on it. Let us know your favorite vacation spot for Sips to go on holiday. What are your suggestions?
Oh man,
where would
don't
you take?
Suggest Center Parks in Longleat because that's the only place we ever seem to go. It's great though.
With a 6-month-old, a 6-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
6-month-old. Man, where the hell have you been? She's like 14 months, almost 14 months.
Jeez, time has.
She's walking. She started walking while we were on vacation.
She's
gone taken her steps
so fast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can I just say, I've started work on Jingle Jam.
Oh my god!
Again, I've dug out the old organizational spreadsheet and blown the dust off it, and I'm like, fuck me, this is a lot of work.
Hey, listen, can I tell you a story about pre-vacation and another little one? I think I told you guys over WhatsApp about being barfed on the ferry.
Oh yeah,
which was not pleasant.
Yeah.
But listen to this one. This is the night before we're leaving. We had to catch the ferry. The ferry left at 9 o'clock in the morning, and because we had our car and everything, we had to turn up there quite early. So it was an early start. We had to wake up at 6 to get ready, get the car fastened down, everything, because we had like a roof rack, and like it was like a proper, it was like a real Griswold moment. We got the car ready and everything. So my son, who's almost 11 now, is really excited to go on this trip, and he's like, what time are we waking up tomorrow? And because he's at that age now where he's worried about timings on things and stuff. He didn't want to be late, didn't want to miss the boat and stuff. So he's, what time do we have to wake up tomorrow? We said, well, we got to wake up at like 6, but maybe if you want, set your alarm for 5:45, quarter to 6, so you have like a little bit of a head start. You have some more time to wake up and get your stuff ready, whatever. And he's like, okay. So we got this huge like alarm clock that we got him when he was really little. middle to help him like learn how to tell the time. And it's like really old style. It has like the big metal ringers on the top, you know, like the big metal domes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it has like all these colorful, you know, minute, hour hands and stuff like that.
It's like a comedy clown alarm clock.
It's huge.
That you only see in like TV
clock,
shows.
Right? Yeah. It looks like it would be around Flavor Flav's neck sort of thing. It's just like, it's absurd. Anyway, so he's like, I'll go get my clock. So he comes down. He's like, okay, 5:45. And he's like, yeah, 5:45. Set your alarm so you wake up and we'll have more than enough time to get there, whatever. Okay. All right, great. So he sets his alarm. He takes it back upstairs. He kind of like puts a bunch of toys in front of it and stuff. He's got his toys all set up like on his shelf and everything, whatever. So we were like, oh, that's cute. You know, like we're going on vacation. And he's super excited. So he goes to bed. The baby goes to bed. My daughter's in bed. We watched a bit of TV, got some more stuff ready or whatever. The clock strikes midnight and it sounds like a fucking fire alarm is going off in our house, but like an old school one, like one that you'd hear like at your school, you know, the metal ringing.
Okay.
So he set his alarm clock for midnight, of course. No. So this thing is going off and it's so fucking loud. Like it is so fucking loud. My wife turns to me, she's like, it's the fucking alarm. Like go turn it off. You know, the baby's upstairs sleeping. My daughter's upstairs sleeping. So I run up so fast. Get to the alarm clock. It's buried under all these fucking toys because he set it all up on his shelf or whatever. But there's no movement. Like he's not moving. Like the baby's still asleep. My daughter's still asleep. I'm fumbling around with this alarm clock, turning it off, whatever. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay, turn it off. And then it like clicked again and it was like threatening to go. So I was like fumbling around with it a little bit more. And then I noticed in the corner of my eye that my son is like starting to stir. It's like, oh shit, I think it's like woken him up or whatever. So I'm looking on the back of this thing, trying to like make sure I turn it off or whatever. I turn around, my son is sitting up in bed, like waving his arms, like, you know, like those fucking, you know, those things outside, like a used car lot, the wavy man. Guys. He's like that with the same smile on his face and everything. Like he's excited. He thinks it's 5:45 in the morning.
Oh, no.
And it's time to go on vacation. It's like, no, go back to bed. It's not time. You didn't set your alarm right. It's midnight. Go back to bed. Like, oh, fuck me. It was so funny. And
oh my God.
Nobody else woke up. Luckily, I got downstairs and I was crying from laughing for like 10 solid minutes. It was unbelievable. Fuck me. It was so funny.
Oh, that's great.
Just the look on his face. Just the sheer, he was asleep still though, because I told him about the next day. He's like, I don't remember any of that. Like I don't remember waking up or whatever. So he's still asleep with this massive smile.
Fully asleep, yeah. Dreaming about waking up, because that's the thing that you can very much do is in your, you know, dreaming about things you're excited about doing the next day, and then you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I've still got to do them. Or the opposite, yeah. Oh, that's that's great.
It was funny. It was good. Yeah.
Did you ever? So yeah, the other thing you texted us about was you got the ferry over for some obscure fucking reason with a baby.
Well, we wanted to have our own car because we have the baby seat. We had a lot of luggage. Like we were gone for a full week, so it was like, you know, we just wanted to make sure that we had like all the comforts. Like we took like the baby's still like having like formula, like we're weaning her, so it was good that we could take like our bottle maker and shit like that. And it was just we kind of needed it, but it meant that we had to take a ferry for 4 hours as well, which was okay for the first couple of hours. But once you get really into the channel and the water gets choppy, man, everybody was feeling it. Like, except for me. I don't get seasick somehow. I get car sick, but not seasick. Everybody else is not feeling too good. And so I'm pacing around with the baby because she's like really unsettled. And then she just barfed everywhere, like multiple times. Like it was all over me. It was all over the floor. Some random dad from the boat just appeared out of nowhere with paper towels and was like wiping me down. I know, man. There really are some nice people out there. You tend to forget, but there are some decent people that still exist. You just have to have a baby puke.
Did he lean into you while he was wiping the silk off and say, "I have a tiny penis"?
No.
I got this.
Please.
No, he did not. But on that subject, because I feel like an old washed up YouTuber and stuff, like I've been around for a long time. Holy crap, like multiple times per day, every day I was away, I bumped into people who recognized me, like in Center Parks and in and around Center Parks, like Longleat and stuff too. It's crazy. Like I don't know, I don't know how, but it still happens.
Do you think it's because like the sort of big Yogscast Minecraft era was about 10 years ago now, I guess.
I suppose,
when you guys were like blowing up YouTube and first channel to get to 1 billion viewers in the UK and all this kind of stuff. Those people are now at the age where they're starting to have kids and go on these family holidays and stuff like that. And so they're like, oh shit, it's Sips. I wonder if it's that.
Yeah, maybe. But I was surprised. Like it's weird. Sometimes I'll go somewhere and nothing, and you're just like, oh, whatever. Like I don't even think about it. And then other times I'll go somewhere and it's constant. And this trip was like that. It was like every day. There was
you did say you go there on holiday all the time. So maybe people book their holiday there.
Maybe people know.
Hoping to bump into you.
Maybe they're trying to sync up, yeah.
Geez, honey, let's go to Center Parks and might see Sips. Oh, God.
Yeah. I guess you are right. Like it. You don't know if you're normally like it doesn't happen often enough for you to even think about it, right? But then occasionally someone will bump into me and say, "Oh, hi," and then I'll be like a little bit anxious for a couple of hours because
you're like, a little more aware of it.
I'm a little bit more aware that people
might
recognize me, and then I go back to normal. Just I don't care again, Sometimes, for example, like I'm like wearing like a really dirty old tracksuit or something like this, and I'll go out and I'll go get the shopping, and someone will recognize me. I'll be like, oh fuck, like I didn't expect this. I forgot that people might recognize me and want to take a picture, and I'm like, oh no.
You get clocked in the subtropical swimming paradise changing room when you're in your bathing suit and you're letting it all hang out. That's
what happened.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, a couple times. What can you do?
Subtropical paradise.
Subtropical swimming paradise, yeah.
Yeah. In the UK, so I mean, it's definitely subtropical.
By the way,
the water's like 29 degrees constantly.
It's raining again here, by the way. Holy shit. It's rained every day for like a week now.
I know. Yeah. We're owed it though, P-Flax,
I know.
It's been a dry summer.
We had some thunderstorms this week. And
man, we had a quick one yesterday, and I think lightning actually struck like close to where we were in town. It sounded like a bomb.
Oh, it's so dropping. Loud, yeah.
It was immediate too. Sometimes you see the flash, and then seconds later you'll hear the rumble. This was just like all at the same time,
it's
like
crazy.
Immediately. It was crazy.
It's crazy. But I heard some. When the lightning was going on, there was a bolt quite near us, and then because I guess London's built up, it's got a lot of big buildings around. You could hear it echoing, no word of a lie, for about 30 seconds. I was listening. You could hear that thunder rolling across the landscape and bouncing back from all these buildings and stuff like that. Because obviously London is fairly flat. There's not a big hill for it to get lost in. So it just kind of rebounds off and you can hear it coming back at you from miles around. It was like, holy shit. Yeah. It was very apocalyptic.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yes.
I always worry, I always stare at the lightning storm out the window and I always think, what if I got hit? Like, there's not that many things that are that tall around here. Question for anyone out there that knows anything about lightning. And I want an expert here. All right, I want a guy who's called like Lightning McGee or something like that. He's, an expert, someone with a PhD or something. Does the lightning always hit the highest point? Or does it sometimes get lazy and go down a few feet? Because I'm at the top of the house. Would it go, you know what? That guy'll do. He's mostly water anyway. That sounds like a good idea. Better than just hitting the roof. So if the roof is not its first choice, will it come down and hit me in a window looking out?
I don't know. My only experience with any of this stuff is watching Rescue 911 with William Shatner as the host.
Never heard of it.
And somebody got struck by lightning while they were standing under a tree.
Oh well, but that's silly because
they had to phone an ambulance.
It hits the tree, and then as it comes down the tree, it blasts. And I think you can get caught, right?
It splits the the tree in half and splinters it out.
Right, but that everybody knows surely not to stand under a tree in a thunderstorm. I mean, that's like one of the worst things you can do, as I understand it.
I think they just didn't have a choice. I think they were just in a field and there happened to be a tree.
Right.
So they naturally just went there for some shelter.
Right, but what I'm saying is don't do that. Like,
no, but
you just have to get wet.
Right.
The answer is not, well, I didn't have a choice. Just don't go under the tree. I mean, you absolutely cannot.
I guess so, but when you're in that situation, I can see how it could happen.
So even knowing that you shouldn't, you would consider still doing it?
Well, I don't think I would think about it that much. If it was really pouring and I saw a tree, I would just think, I'm probably not going to get struck by lightning. I'm just going to run and shelter under that tree.
No.
I think a lot of people get struck by lightning golfing.
Yeah, but you're holding a bit of metal and you're in the middle of a field.
When they hold the club up, is that what you mean?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more the fact that it's very, very flat. There's no trees. And so you are the highest point, even though you're just a little bit above the surface. Do you see what I mean?
Do you think anybody's ever been on the green and they've held their club up in the air and it got struck by lightning?
Absolutely.
And it supercharged them and they're like,
and they
now watch this punch! Boom! Like laser accuracy.
What was it? Was it Everybody's Golf, that old golf game, where you could, if you hit the ball with the timing just right, the club froze as it struck the ball, and there was this huge power spike and like a big glowy thing, and then it would shoot off the end of the club like a laser.
Did your friend's dad ever have the PC game Lynx Golf?
Yeah,
it's an old one.
The best thing about it was that if you played a shot, it had to load in the next point where you were playing from, line by line on the screen. So it would load it in, like loading in line by line by line, because it couldn't just go, there's the screen. It was so complicated that and the processing was so weak that it would have to load it in line by line. And if you turned, it had to redraw it. So it was so slow to play. It was unbearable.
Oh, man.
Young man, if I could just
what is it?
Slide my goiter to the other side so I can look you in the eye.
Okay.
I've heard about something called honey. Now, not the kind that bees make, but another kind of honey. So do go ahead and tell me all about it, young man, would you please?
Well, honey is a digital tool. It's free. Is it free? You can just install it on your browser. Imagine you're shopping at one of your favorite sites.
Yes.
What would that be?
Oh, giantmegadildos.com.
That would be
I love that
my
one.
favorite. I call it the triple D. It's donkeydickdildos.com.
Well, when you check out, the honey button appears, and all you have to do is click apply coupons. Honey will automatically search for discounts, and if it finds a working coupon, you will save money. I notice it every week, for real. I reckon I must have saved like at least 150 quid using honey over the course of the last few months. So it definitely does work. I recommend it. If you don't already have honey, you could straight up be missing out, and you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting the show by getting honey for free at joinhoney.com/Triforce. joinhoney.com/Triforce. Forget about your old coupon book.
My coupon book?
Flax. You could use a digital version.
I stash it under my goiter.
God, I hope you get better.
Yeah.
You should have that looked at.
When we started doing this bit, I didn't have the goiter. I didn't.
Oh, man.
When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right?
Of course I do.
You don't want random passers-by looking in on you?
Well.
So why would you let people watch you when you're online?
Good God.
That's right.
You ever seen those bathrooms like in those swanky Vegas hotels that have like the glass? You can like look right into them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, if you press the button, it will put a little frosting filter on, and that's what ExpressVPN is like. You can still poop in there, but no one will be able to see what you're doing.
So all of a sudden, it's like somebody's watching you, but it's The Sims, and you've been censored out.
You've been pixelated
yes,
out. You've been blurred.
Pixelated up.
So if you're like me and believe that your online activity should stay private and be your business, you can secure yourself now with expressvpn.com/Triforce. Today is our exclusive link, expressvpn.com/Triforce. You get an extra 3 months free. You should definitely be using a VPN for all of your online browsing needs. You can change your country. You can do all sorts of stuff. It works on my phone. and my iPad. I use it when I'm in hotels and stuff. I recommend it. So yes, happy to have ExpressVPN as a sponsor. Thank you for coming back. Obviously, you guys like it as well. So yes, expressvpn.com/Triforce. Thank you. On with the show.
My friend's dad had some pretty cool games. He had this one game called Castles. I don't know if you've ever
it rings a bell, actually.
It had really cool music, and you just had to get your men to build castle walls and stuff like that. I know this
game, yeah. Interplay, 1991.
1991 Interplay.
What a classic game. Love this game.
He used to play a game called Steel Panthers, which was like a World War II tank. Yeah,
they keep making new ones, and Panzer Corps and all the rest of those. Yeah, they're like, it's a turn-based tile game. SSI used to make all of these games.
That's right. Yeah,
Fantasy
he used to
General
play all of those.
Oh, proper war gaming. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. He used to play this like Civil War one. I can't remember the name of it. Space Rangers. He used to play as well.
Wait, the Civil War one. Wonder if that would have been Sid Meier's Civil War game.
No, it wasn't Sid Meier's. This would have been around the same time, 90, 91 or whatever. But he did have Colonization, though, and Civ 1 he had as well.
But Sid Meier made a lot of games in the 90s.
Yeah.
And one of the ones he made was a Civil War game. Yeah, I'm just going to have a look at it. Because that was Microprose, who I thought
Microprose,
had vanished,
yeah, that's right.
Right, but Microprose is still going. No, they're still going.
Really?
Yeah, they're still making games. They might have been rebought or whatever.
Interplay published the first Fallout game, did they not? Was it Interplay? Interplay were pretty big back in the early 90s, but they have also vanished.
So there was Sid Meier's Gettysburg, which came out in 1997.
Yeah.
So it could have been that. Yeah.
What is that? American Civil War?
Gettysburg. Yeah.
For anyone out there who wants a really good Civil War game that's a lot of fun to play, Ultimate General Civil War. It is superb. It is so much fun. I've played it through multiple times. I have 326 hours in this game. I love it.
Holy shit.
Ultimate General
The original
Civil
Colonization was really nice
my
too.
God,
Sid Meier's Colonization. We used to play that a lot.
I got that on
again,
GOG.
it was my friend's dad who had it, but we just saw him playing it because he was one of those guys, like, he'd come home from work and he would kick us off the computer. We used to play Monkey Island and like Day of the Tentacle and Wing Commander, all those games. But then when he got home from work, he was like, off. Yeah. So we had to get off. And he would sit there smoking cigarettes, playing all these war games and stuff. But because we were like, 9-10-year-old kids, we were obsessed. We just wanted to get back on. So we would sit there watching him play all these games, waiting for him to finish up, go off and make dinner or whatever so that we could get back on. So we would just watch him play fucking Steel Panthers.
The original
and all
Let's
this shit.
Plays were watching someone else
watching
play
someone's dad play games.
What, actual dads?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I was the same with my friends who were a bit older than me at school, and I would go around and watch them play XCOM and Civ and Colonization.
Yeah,
that's how I got into gaming in the first place.
Yeah, same as more PC. Like I had consoles, but PC gaming was when I was really interested in gaming, and it was always it was always other people's dads that had all these games and stuff, right? That we would just load up and play. Like one of my friends, his dad had all the Leisure Suit Larry games, and we weren't really supposed to play them. And I don't know if you remember the old Leisure Suit Larry games, but they had the age verification thing at the start, which was obscure like 50s and 60s references,
about
like general
like
knowledge questions.
And shit.
Yes, yeah. So it
was like
figure
playing
them
Trivial
all out,
Pursuit.
guess them.
It was like playing an old edition of Trivial Pursuit that your parents know all the answers to, and you're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. But then from playing the Leisure Suit Larry games, we got into playing Space Quest, King's Quest. Like a lot of these games would lead into like other games that we'd try to pick up and play and stuff.
Man, Wing Commander was really hype back in the day.
It was fucking so good, man. Wing Commander 2 especially. Like, again, we were 10-year-old kids, so we would arrange, like, his mom had like a work from home office. She was like a stay-at-home mom, but she was also an accountant. So during like the tax time, like April or whatever, she would do she had like a home business sort of thing. But so she had this office, but we had all these chairs and stuff in it, and we would arrange them like the cockpit of of like the spaceship, and we would like role play and pretend we were like ejecting and stuff like that. Fuck, it was so much fun.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're like 10, right?
So Wing Commander, of course, to take us back to the start of this episode, Chris fucking Robert.
Yeah, Wing Commander. It was a good one. We used to play a lot of Wing Commander. We tried to get the one with Mark Hamill in it. I think it was Wing Commander 3 or 4. The one that came out on CD-ROM. But man, it would never work. Like there was all these driver issues, and sometimes we'd get it working and it would just be really choppy and stuff.
You remember you'd have to have a different boot disc.
Yes.
For certain games. So you'd have to boot the system with this boot disk in because it allocated memory in the right way and loaded in this, that, and the other. And you'd have to sometimes have special, like you'd have to load in the drivers for your fucking keyboard and mouse and shit like that. It was nuts, man.
We loved all the LucasArts point and click adventure games too, like Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle,
here's
Full
the thing.
Throttle, Sam and Max.
I never got into point and clicks because the issue I had is, for a start, it's a fixed game. You play it one time and it's done. And games were expensive for kids, right? It's like, holy shit. The other
that was like he would get that for Christmas, you know.
Right.
Like, I remember he got Monkey Island 2 for Christmas. We were little kids, but we were really excited too.
Of course.
And then for the whole Christmas break, every day I just go to his house and we just play through Monkey Island 2, try to figure it out and stuff.
But that's the thing is, essentially it all boils down to clicking on everything on the screen. And then attempting to use everything in your possession with everything else in your possession, and then using that with everything. Because some of the puzzles are so fucking bad, man.
Right, the puzzles and the gameplay itself aren't great. Usually, like the story is pretty bearable, pretty funny. There's some funny jokes in there, whatever. But also it's like, you know, it just depends where you're at the time. Like it's like subjective, right? Like your age, all that kind of stuff, you know? Like those are just like mega nostalgia for me because we always looked forward to those kinds of games coming out because we just worked through them together and it was good fun. I remember the last one we got was The Dig. You remember that one? The Dig? I think Spielberg had some part in it or whatever. But we were like 17, 18 when it came out, I think. So it was like a little bit different, you know, like we were kids when the Monkey Island games were coming out. We were super excited for them. And we kind of tried to relive that excitement through The Dig, but we went to like a party and drank, and I had The Dig like in my backpack. We're like, "Oh, you want to go home and play The Dig?" And it's
my god!
Oh, I guess so. I'm kind of drunk. All right, let's go. And like, you know, it was all a little bit different, but it was still good times. You know,
there's some great point and clicks these days. They really are.
There's some new. There's been some good ones. There's a new Monkey Island coming out like next week, 19th. There's a brand new Monkey Island coming out by by most of the team that made the original games. So could be good, could be bad. Who knows?
Wadget Eye Games. Yes. They make a couple of
They've got some good ones.
Unavowed is one of my favorite games actually in the last few years. I really, really recommend it.
They're not like gamer games, but they're just nice like experiences, right? You just fumble your way through them, and it's just whatever, you know.
It's kind of like a visual novelty thing mixed with a bit of puzzle, mixed with just like a bit of you know, it's a game. It's a game though, right? And
Thimbleweed Park was another one that
you'll
came
come back
out
to again and again, but it's a one and done experience, but it's still a good experience.
You guys, you know, when I think about the 90s and games, I think there were so many games that they did the best they could with the technology that they had, and they were amazing. But when I think about sort of now, games are so much more like technically unbelievable.
Yeah.
But a lot of the ideas that they have came in that era, I think, in the 90s when gaming really came to the fore. And this was before graphics cards really became a thing, because I feel that was towards the end of the 90s, the start of the 2000s, right?
Monster 3D and all that kind of stuff was towards the end of the 90s for sure.
There was a guy that worked at Valve. He was the guy that did the VR stuff. That was what I knew him for, called Doug Church. And Doug Church, let me give you a list of the games that he worked on, okay? Ultima Underworld, and Ultima Underworld 2, which at the time, if you looked them up, there was nothing like them. Like any kind of 3D dungeony game, any kind of 3D fantasy game, this was like the start of all of that. And they were unbelievable for the time. Unbelievable. And then he made System Shock, which was one of my favorite games of all time.
It's a classic. I've never played it, but it's
good.
It's still banded about as being like a
It's amazing.
You played Have you played Prey?
Yes, I did.
I played Prey. I couldn't get into it.
It didn't quite have the same claustrophobic terror the System Shock did.
They were going to call Prey like Neuroshock or something like that instead, but Bethesda wanted it to be called Prey, and it did sort of badly as a result. But no, I thought Prey was
alright. Yeah,
a lot of people really rate Prey. I couldn't get into it. I just didn't.
So he also did Terra Nova Strike Force Centauri. If you look it up, it was basically like Starship Troopers the book, but as a game. And you flew around in these giant suits and had to fucking blow shit up. Thief: The Dark Project, System Shock 2, Thief 2, Deus Ex Invisible War.
These are all fantastic.
And then
games.
CSGO. Like, the guy worked on an unbelievable pantheon of games. He's a really lovely guy. But I just like, holy shit, like, those games seem so legendary to me. Yeah. And a lot of the things that they did, if you try to go back and play them, we were talking about this the other day, actually, just me and the guys on my Discord. A lot of games, when you get nostalgic for them, you go back and you don't realize how much gaming has evolved in the last 20 years, 30 years, to add shit in that you're like, if you go back and play these older games, you're like, oh my God, it's fucking no quick save, no, it's like, what is that? It's like
a lot of like the replayability
things.
Feels limited too. But at the time, you would replay the shit out of these games because, like you said, they were expensive. You didn't get games on tap like you do now, right? Like you could buy like 50 games in a day for like a pound each or whatever. And
this is the thing, we are flooded, but at the same time, we have this wonderful indie seed going on where you can still get like a pretty shit basic game that takes the world by storm. Like, look at Vampire Survivors or some of this whole genre that's evolved out very quickly, which is very old school in design.
It is, yeah. Vampire Survivors
it's already spawned tons of
I love
like little clones and stuff. It's a £2 game, but it's so playable and so basic. Like so there is still room for creativity
100%,
and
100%.
originality.
I just think that a lot of the time that is spent, and this is why I think a lot of the times in indie scenes you see the most innovation, is because if you're making a AAA game, the expectations that people have for the sound, the graphics, the length of the game, the campaign, means that you have to spend so much time and energy on that you don't really have time to come up with new mechanics in games and really original and new things. I mean, if you think about Half-Life 2, that game was not developed in a hurry.
No.
Right? It was like love and care and time and a lot of brilliant people working on it, given space and time to work. I think a lot of the time games now, the bigger they get, the more of a rush there is to get them out. Because think how much money you have to spend just getting it all to look modern enough that people are going to pay 60 quid for it or whatever.
Yeah.
It must be crushing. I mean, Cyberpunk, we were talking about Cyberpunk, that's a good example of a game that people wanted so much from it. They promised all this stuff, and I think when they got into it, they realized that it's incredibly hard. Like, having what feels like a living city of that scale is almost impossible even now, and by a major developer to be done well, because it was terrible.
But the whole lead up to the game releasing with like the work hours that people had to put in,
crazy,
and all that kind of stuff, it's just insane, right? Like,
I just think,
but they're under a lot of pressure because it costs a lot of money to make the game.
Just making it is millions,
and a lot of it is unlocked once the game is out, right? Like, people get their money back when the game starts selling. So there's always a lot of pressure, to push something out the door. But something on that scale, it's incredible that anything gets made.
So don't you think that perhaps the desire that people have for an open world game like Cyberpunk, if you made it more on rails and just focused on it being a really good single player game with good locations and good everything, you could actually deliver. Because if you look at Grand Theft Auto, it manages to deliver on an open world with missions and quests. Still has some bugs and stuff like that, but it delivers, and I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 delivered.
But I mean, GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 are big time outliers. Like, they're both masterpieces.
These games took 5 years to make by 500.
But Cyberpunk cost a fortune as well. How long did Cyberpunk take to
You're
make?
not wrong. Cyberpunk did, but I think that Cyberpunk hadn't made a game. I mean, they had made The Witcher 3, which was a real masterpiece. But I think they just bit off more than they could chew. Even The Witcher took longer than they thought it would. It wasn't perfect when it was released. It took time to make it good. And like it was real crunch heavy. Like the people who made it like said that, oh my god, they almost died making that game.
Yeah.
And almost I think those people were just like, I'm not going to do that again. They're almost, even though you're making it in Poland.
So it cost $313 million to develop. And it started in 2016, and it came out in 2021, maybe 2020.
Yeah.
So they spent all that money on it. I'm not
trying to make excuses.
No.
They obviously they must have had Alan Sugar in charge.
Do you think he laid on a swanky booze cruise for all the devs that were working on it?
We laid on some borscht and some vodka for you. You guys are going to stay overnight. We'll finish this game. Have it wrapped up by morning. All right, let's do it. That was his like bullshit management style.
Fuck's sake.
I think
if they reined in, right? Rather than say it's going to do everything, if you just reined it in a bit and just said this is what it's going to be. It's going to be a set in the future. It's going to be Cyberpunk, But just focus on making a good game.
The expectations now are so high, though, especially from a big studio. Like if it's a AAA game with a big studio with lots of money behind it, people want everything.
They want it all.
Like they're not going to settle for an early access. Here's the bare bones. Join us on our journey for the next 10 years while we get to release or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's
right. But
for example, will take that for certain things, but not for something like.
But if they made something like Half-Life 3, right, which I'm sure they never will, but let's imagine if they did, you wouldn't need it to be some vast open world thing where the way you affect one faction affects the game world and all this kind of shit. I think at its core, people still want a single player experience that is fun to play through, that is challenging. Elden Ring is a good example of that, right? It's a game that has a semi-open world and that you can go where you want, but much of it is locked off to you. You can't go there until you do this. You can't go here until you do that. It's divided into realms.
Sure, but the counterpoint to that is that, say, the Half-Life franchise, for example, you've got Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, which are that, right? They're really fine-tuned, good single-player experiences, right? So for a franchise to evolve past that, they'd have to add more stuff to 3, right?
Or just have a really fucking good game.
More of the same. Yeah, it would be a good game, but it wouldn't be as good as it could be, right? Because the idea is that the first one was good, it was a success. The second one was good, it was an enormous success. So the third one should be good and like just a out of the park success, right? With more bells and whistles. But it has to. So do you think it has to grow?
But do you think that those bells and whistles automatically means it has to be open world? Because that's how I feel all these games
Not necessarily open world, but it would have to introduce some new stuff. Otherwise, it risks being just the same. And then it'll get 100%. Reviewed as such as well, right?
So it absolutely... But my point is that if you scale up to promising the fucking moon and saying like, oh, it's all open world and there's cars and there's this and there's all this, and you can't deliver on that, there's no point, because you're not going to have the time and energy to actually make the game good. Yeah. Make the game good, like design a really good game, and then if you suddenly realize, you know what, we could expand this out a bit, then I think as part of your design you could do that. But they set out for this grand thing, and they never. There's no focus.
Sometimes they set out for something, and that just changes halfway through. You know, like if you go back and you look at some of the great games, you know, the classic games, they started life as something completely different to what they ended up as, because especially when something takes a very long time to work on, like say like 5 years or whatever, your team could change. You're also dealing with designers who are designing a game at the start based on the stuff that they're playing, and then that changes halfway through, right? So they might get up to a point with the system and they might be like, this isn't going to be fun. This isn't going to be engaging. We didn't plan this out properly. Also, I've been playing this game and it's awesome, and we should crowbar this in somehow. So it changes all
the Blizzard
throughout.
System. What was that game that Blizzard were making for years and then binned?
They were making a point and click Warcraft game at one point.
No, it was like some grand thing. I can't remember what it was.
I think it was meant to be. It was Overwatch in its first. The idea for Overwatch originally was a big MMO, like sim style lifestyle, but you were a superhero that went out and did missions at night or something like that, but then you'd come back and just be a regular person during the day. But the scale and scope of it was enormous, and then in the end they were just like, oh, let's just make a shooter. Like but that happens all the time. That's not just a
Project Titan.
That's not just a Blizzard thing, like
StarCraft Ghost. Yeah. I mean, I think when you're a big guy, when you're an Alan Sugar, and you're like, I've got all these guys who are really smart. They're gonna make me a game. All right, make me a game. It's like this doesn't really work like that in a sense. Like it has to come from an idea. Some of the best games are from one guy's vision or one guy's clever plan, not necessarily something that a studio who've got coders lying around need to come up with. I feel like this is why game designers are a strange beast. You have obviously people like Hideo Kojima who are famous for creating these weird ideas and weird things. He's almost like an auteur, like it's kind of bizarrely associated with the games he's made, and almost like people see that as some sort of seal of approval as well. Like certain people like Ravs will play anything he's made because or been involved with because he just finds it so genre breaking. Do
you think Sid Meier's holds that weight as well? Oh, if Sid Meier's made it, I'm in. I'm buying it.
Absolutely, I think that he did, and I think that it obviously changed as he changed and games changed, and his name got sold to a big faceless corporation kind of thing. I think that it's a thing that games look. I think there's so much out there now, right? From story-based games to open-world games to horror and short experiences, visual novels, porn games, whatever you want. There's
now we're talking.
Something out there, right? Like Steam's full of all of it, and I think that there's a lot of genre crossovers. A lot of people try and do experimental stuff, and they get quite a long way down the road before they realize that it doesn't work, and that's really sad. And I think, in a sense, nowadays with all of these Unity and all these engines, it's the thing that I'm told that is something to do is fail quickly. If you're going to make a game, like just don't make a game jam demo and see if it fucking sucks.
Another thing,
or if it's great.
You want me to fail quickly? I'm there.
If you look back at a lot of these big games that have come out. I remember reading about the guys that made Angry Birds, for example. I mean, whether you like it or not is it doesn't matter. It's now a big IP. It was a big game on mobile, and they've got arcade games, movies, everything now, right? But these guys made like 30 games before that went nowhere, that did nothing. They were just not good, abandoned. Nobody was interested. Some of them were published. They didn't sell. You know what I mean? Like they've got a whole raft of experiences behind them, and then Angry Birds, for whatever reason, right place, right time, had the right ingredients, hit, and it was huge.
A lot of people, a lot of these big publishers now are publishing indie games with some sort of underground wing. Like Square Enix have done it, Frontier, Paradox have got like an indie wing where they've got people hunting for indie games, and they will put them under their expertise and their marketing and also like almost under their reputation. And these games that would otherwise have potentially just either not got any recognition at all or fallen by the wayside are now couched under these guys. But I think the problem is these studios have such high expectations. When you look at companies like Frontier and Paradox have fucking every game, like Stellaris, City Skylines, all these games are massive mega hits. They get incredibly disappointed when I would imagine when a game sells only 100,000 copies. But to an indie dev, that's a massive success.
Hell yeah.
But to Paradox, that's a failure. Or to other games developed, not necessarily Paradox, but I can imagine that their mindset is definitely like based on their previous titles, right? And every game that Paradox has done, I think
at that size though, performance matters, right? Because they have people investing,
a big hit,
like constantly, so they need to appeal to those people, and they need to be able to turn around to them and say, well, the last game we made sold this much, so come on, where's your money? You know? So if they have disappointing sales, that is a problem for sure, because people will lose faith. I just can't imagine being in charge of
Angry Birds, right? Because Angry Birds was such a huge thing, and just trying to, or even like classically Minecraft, right? Like Notch, the idea that you have to create something else afterwards, or you have to follow it somehow. But in reality, you don't now. Like, look at someone like Terraria. The dev of Terraria has done it.
Is his name Steve Terraria?
What's his name? God, I should know, because he's really famous.
Bill Terraria.
Nice guy.
I mean, there are devs who just, they get the game, it does well, and they just stick with it.
Well, absolutely. That's what Terraria have done. Right. So it's been out 10 years.
The guy's doing that for 10 years, I think.
I don't think he is now, though.
Still making the same game.
I think he's moved on. And I think
really?
The Prison Architect people... Yeah, I don't think that happens as much as people think. I think when you're somebody who likes to create games and stuff like that, it runs its course, right? Like the Among Us guys were like that too. Among Us, funnily enough, got popular 3 years after they just stopped development on it. They released this game, it didn't do too good or whatever, but then found its popularity much later on, I think, just from people streaming it or whatever. But now
100%.
They have to come back.
It's huge now. Like it's maybe it's not huge on Twitch, but man, go to a toy store, there's fucking Among Us merch everywhere. It's insane. Like, they must have made so much money off of it. But even the devs are just like, what? We're past this. Like,
right.
It's great that it's become popular, but we've worked on like 3 other things since. You know, like we don't want to work on this now. Well, understandably too. You know, like you're onto the new thing that you want to work on.
And it has to be driven by some degree of passion, right? It has to, because otherwise it's just not going to be very good.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have people. You have to find. My advice to them would be, don't even bother trying to do it yourselves. It would have been like, get some people who are really passionate about the game. Find some devs who want to take up the mantle of making this game to the next, taking it to the next level, improving it, tweaking it, adding new roles, adding new maps. Like, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
And do it quickly as well to capitalize on the success. But I think at the end of the day, it's up to them what they want to do. It's their game after all.
Well, they're just a small team too. Like, I think there was only 3 of them, so it's like,
I think maybe they're happy with how it is.
I'm sure they are now. Gosh,
I've got a lot of respect for the Terraria guys though, for their sort of attitude, which has very much been like, you pay one price, you get the game, and we're going to keep giving you free stuff,
even
all the way. I think Minecraft has definitely changed a lot since it's been bought. Now you can buy a Spider-Man costume pack and all this wanky crap. I mean, it's definitely changed.
My kids still play that game almost every day.
Well, of course they do.
They
huge.
love it.
It's still massive amount of popularity and focus, and even more marketing now going into it than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say? I've wondered this before. Is Minecraft the greatest computer game ever made?
I don't know if it's the greatest, but it's probably one of the most popular.
I would say it has to be the most popular of all time, and therefore, surely you'd have to say it's the greatest game ever made. I mean,
it's hard to
people,
quantify it really.
Given how little, relatively, it's changed since it came out. I mean, you can list all the things you can now build and everything, but the game looks the same and plays the same as it always has done, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
and it runs on pretty much any platform. Little kids can play it and understand it and enjoy it and grew up with it. I honestly, it's not for me. I never really got into it. It's okay, but my kids, and I know that kids that are now, that played it and are now grown up, I think it would be very hard for them to look at any other game for the rest of their lives and say that it had as much of an impact on them as Minecraft did.
Yeah,
so
probably,
I think you have to say that it's
and me
exactly, and literally the 2 guys I'm talking to, the 2 guys I'm talking to could not point to another game and say,
this
it was that
podcast would not be
none of it,
here,
none of it.
if it wasn't for Minecraft, for sure. No, you're right.
Yeah.
So maybe it is the greatest game of all
time.
I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
I welcome any suggestions. Otherwise, I just feel like its reach, its impact, the number of people that have enjoyed it, the amount of joy it's given, especially to kids. I think you'd have to say it's a crowning achievement in gaming. I think. Anyway,
we talked a lot of shit this podcast.
Yeah, it's good to chat. We don't do these gaming chat. We don't do these gaming chat podcasts very often, so it's nice to get it out of our system.
Nice. Yeah, it is nice to get it out of your system for sure. I enjoyed that. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Good to see you. So much. It's nice that the kids are back to school, man. It just feels like life is back to normal. It's nice. I'm sure you feel the same way, Flax. You know, like you get that routine back, which is kind of good.
Pouring with rain.
I don't have much routine at the moment. I'm very busy today. And tomorrow, I've got a lot of stuff on my mind, a lot to do.
Oh man, well,
good luck. Stuff. We'll talk about it next week. All right,
see you soon.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace. Bye.